that a lot of our clients don't have the ability to go to the senior center. They don't have the ability to meet their friends for breakfast or lunch or coffee or get their hair done. And because of concerns about illness, they may not even have friends or family members stopping by because they may be exposed to COVID. Also, there is some cognitive decline. People later in life may be experiencing some memory loss. They may have some cognitive decline based on the medication that they're on or treatment that they're receiving, trouble sleeping. And all in all, scammers know that this is happening to older adults in our community and will prey upon that. So what happens with a scam technique? There is frequent contact by phone, email, or mail. We've helped people over the years that can receive up to 75 to 100 calls a day. These scammers are asking for personal and financial information rather boldly. And there's always a request to get funds, whether that be wiring funds, sending gift cards, or now we've seen that scammers are asking that people use cash transfer apps. Throughout this whole process, secrecy is really emphasized, meaning that the person who is the victim, they're being told, do not share this information with anyone. Don't tell anyone, especially in the case of prize scams or lottery scams. Don't tell anyone that you've won or you may default on your prize. You don't want anyone to know that you're receiving this money. Other times, the caller can be really threatening and they display a sense of urgency. As we kind of talk through the common scams that we see, we'll talk about how those threats and urgency can escalate even beyond the time that somebody has become the victim of a scam. Also, one thing that we found is that scammers are really taking advantage of the increased anxiety, depression, and social isolation that we all have been feeling throughout this pandemic. So who are the scammers? Honestly, they're often overseas. But in this crisis, with more and more people desperate for money, they're operating in your own backyard. Number scramblers are widely used, which means that people with, outside the country, within the state, within our region, are able to have a device that's about the size of a credit card. They can attach it to the computer, and the number can look like it's coming from anywhere. It can look like it's a 716 number, 585 number. So it can look and appear that the number is local when in fact the person is not in our geographical area. A lot of scammers work from sucker lists. That's lists of names and information, often more than just that, of people who may respond to a solicitation. So they may have information about somebody's political affiliation. They will search the obituaries to see if somebody has given money on behalf of a friend or family member, like for hospice or for breast cancer awareness. They may have basic information from social media. Or people who wanted to set when Classmates was, .com was popular. People are really kind of using this information to figure out more than just someone's name, address, and phone number to figure out how they can target them most effectively. So before we talk about recent scams, these are the top 9 scams. This graphic has been around for a while, but unfortunately these scams still exist. Whether you think you're the victim of a scam or you're concerned about a friend or family member, I wanted to talk about some of the common scams and ways that people are victimized that we see in our office so you know what to look out for. The sweepstakes scams are still happening. People are still being told that they've won a contest, that they've won the lottery, and that they need to send in money to collect those winnings. It could be for taxes. It could be for delivery fees. It could be to have a car shipped to you. What we always tell people, throughout for years, is that if you've won a prize, if you've won a legitimate prize, you will never have to pay for anything up front. You settle with the tax man when you file your taxes. They're trying to get the highest rate. But yet people are still, they want to win money. Again, they're preying upon people's financial insecurity during this time. People may feel very unsettled about, the future of their continued benefits, if their benefits will decrease, if costs for housing, food, and medical expenses will increase, and so scammers know this. when they talk to people, someone on the phone might express some financial insecurity or say, I don't have that much money to send for the prize. I mean, they found out, I know how to get to someone's heart, and they target them, especially as it relates to winnings. Grandparent scams. It's still happening. Grandparents and nieces and nephews are still being arrested and calling people, usually in the middle of the night, usually when there's some confusion when someone answers the phone and funds are being solicited. They need emergency funds by wire or by gift card. We urge folks, if that is the case, to always reach out to another family member to make sure that that is legitimate. It is still happening. Investment scams. People are really concerned right now about their financial security. And I think that with investment scams, one thing to consider is that people are going to be out there, especially if there's any fluctuation in the stock market, with these get rich quick schemes, meaning that somebody may have lost some money, then they'll say, no, we have this guaranteed investment. Always make sure that if you go with a reputable investment firm, anything that you're going to be solicited by phone or by mail just to get some information from you over the phone and ask for that kind of personal financial information is a flag. One thing that we've really seen, especially as people are more and more isolated and more people are using things like Instagram and Facebook and other forms of social media, are the rise in sweetheart scams. And these can often take a longer time. It's a longer con. And to be honest, it's much harder to convince somebody that someone doesn't love them than that they're out hundreds of thousands of dollars. The way this works is a lot of times somebody will befriend a lonely or older adult to kind of get access to their money. There's always, it starts out as a friendship. It may, blossom into a best friend. It may blossom into a romantic relationship. But this takes a while, and they build up trust. That trust is there. And then it may start out as a small ask. I want to be with you. I want to come visit you, but I need money to travel to where you are. Or maybe I need to get a car. My car isn't functioning. Can you please send me money? Or I have other legal issues or financial barriers that would prevent me from coming to see you. And this kind of continues and escalates. The hardest part about this type of scam is that people, it's hard to convince them that that person that they've been speaking with, daily, doesn't have their best interest at heart. One thing to consider, whether you think someone's a victim of this scam or maybe you're concerned about somebody reaching out to you, that these people rarely want to meet in person or FaceTime or Skype or attend a Zoom meeting. They will text, they might not even want to talk to you on the phone. It's always by text, it's always by email, and maybe they send you a photo, but they never want to actually speak to someone. These are all warning flags, and honestly, as people are more and more hungry for human interaction, these types of scams are just increasing in prevalence. So now we're going to talk about some COVID-19 scams that we've kind of seen since the pandemic has started. Again, one of the main things that all of these scammers are preying upon, or what we've seen, is people's financial insecurity is being exploited. There have been offers for quick cash and or debt relief. People, when they first announced the first stimulus package, scammers were really preying upon people's uncertainty regarding future funds or continued unemployment benefits. A lot of what we saw was the Social Security scams, where people were worried about continued benefits, meaning that older adults were receiving emails or calls from people pretending to be from the Social Security Administration and saying, hey, if you don't verify your information with me or your bank account information, we can't guarantee that you'll have continued benefits. Now, for the clients that we serve or people that may be in remote communities, when everything went on lockdown, if they don't have access to their funds and they can't order groceries online, they don't have a lot of interaction or family members close by, any loss in benefits is a loss of their ability to have food, to have medicine, to pay their bills. And people were scared. They were providing that information, by email and over the phone because they didn't want to lose those benefits. They didn't want to lose access to what they needed to survive. Also during this time, many people, whether or not they were on furlough or became unemployed during the pandemic, we started to see a lot of solicitations for debt relief, meaning you can apply for this debt relief program. You can, get an advance on your stimulus. You can get an advance on, future debt programs or grants that may be available for you. Banks, credit card companies, whether, student, U.S. Department of Education, other student loan companies, a lot of these places were offering debt relief, reputable debt relief to the consumers, but people who were still scared that that might be short-term or may not get them through the next few months were apt to kind of apply for these funds and to seek debt relief because there was a lot of uncertainty about what would happen, and there still is. People are still concerned about how they're going to pay their bills on a monthly basis. If heating costs increase as we go through the winter months, or if people are still on unemployment and those benefits are at risk of running out. So these types of scams are going to continue to be prevalent. If you know anyone who's been offered those, there are financial institutions that are willing, reputable ones that are willing to work with folks. Just keep your eye out for those. Also, we've seen a lot of person in need scams. What does that mean? So I'm not sure if you know how many recent GoFundMe accounts that you've seen or GoFundMe pages if somebody has lost their job or is unable to pay their bills. Again, a lot of these are legitimate. People have legitimate hardships and do seek assistance from people they may or may not know. But some people are being solicited and targeted. Maybe it's based on the groups they belong to through social media or through other organizations to give to this person in need without, even if it's a few dollars here or there, then the asks increase when someone may not really need the benefit of those funds. One of the things we see and one of the things that really impacts our clients are scams regarding healthcare. And it just went back. And I know what this is. So one of the things with healthcare is that people are being solicited and targeted for cures or medical equipment. And in the beginning, people, when I was home and all of this happened kind of during the pandemic, I was kind of surprised, like during the day, just how many advertisements there were for, you may qualify for this medical product. You may require, you may qualify for testing. In other states, not just in New York, but in other states, people were going door to door trying to sell equipment and talk to people about what could happen if there was a potential vaccine. And it was real, and people were willing to spend a lot of money, again, preying upon the unknown. The other thing is that people are really concerned about the future of their Medicare or Medicaid. People were being offered other kinds of treatments, maybe even holistic treatments, other things that kind of supplement their insurance. And it was not that those things don't work for some people, but honestly, people were being asked to spend a lot of money on top of what they were already spending for their medical costs. We also saw that some people were being taken advantage of in terms of people helping them out to get their medications or maybe, help them with medical assistance in or out of the home. So again, really preying upon people's, need to feel safe, not only financially, but then from a health standpoint too. We've seen quite a few charity scams. This kind of comes up again as like the person in need scam. Again, being wary of GoFundMe campaigns. There's a link here, and I'm happy to provide that or answer any questions if people have it, in the future, for highly rated charities that are actually helping to combat the crisis. This is tracked through charitynavigator.org. There are reputable charities out there who are providing assistance to people who are affected by COVID-19. Whether it be through the county site with rent relief or other organizations too, there are ways to get help, but also to give to people in need. So we always tell our people, and says advise your customers, if you know, advise your clients, advise anyone to never pay by cash, gift card, or money transfer for any charity. Visit the organization's website directly. It is not normal unless somebody solicits you in person or you're buying cookies from the Girl Scouts or you're at your church to give cash without a receipt to a charitable organization. Some charities do request gift cards for different reasons. Maybe they're trying to, adopt a family and they want a gift card, and their family has asked for a gift card for a grocery store for the holidays. But that is pretty rare. Know who you're working with. It is extremely rare for people to ask you for gift card information over the phone and to provide that information for a charity. Any kind of money transfer, meaning a wire. You should be able to write a check. You may be able to donate directly on someone's website. So if you are making those donations, and this time of year is when we start to think about that. As the holiday season approaches, we tend to open our wallets and give to those charities that, we've had experience with, that we know are reputable in the community. So just please be wary of imposter charities that kind of mimic the ones that we normally give to, especially as people are getting more and more desperate for money. One thing that we've really seen throughout the pandemic is the new trend alert in scams has been the cash transfer apps. I'm not sure how familiar everyone is with Venmo, Zelle, Cash App, but they are convenient ways to transfer money between unknown parties without having to exchange cash, meaning that you are able to just enter someone's name and information, name and email address, right into, if you use mobile banking, and transfer money immediately. Scammers know this, and they're using these apps to solicit money directly and also via those contests that people are winning. One thing to know is that once that money is sent, that money is sent to the individual, you would have to dispute that with your bank, and most times it's really difficult to get it back. One really popular contest is a scammer who will ask an individual to send $25. And then they will send $250 back using one of these applications. That may work. And then once somebody thinks that they have access to that money, meaning, hey, I sent $25 and somebody gave me $250, the ask increase. People are being asked to send more money, higher dollar amounts, and they're doing that because they want the benefit of those funds. But unfortunately, it gets to the point where, again, they're not getting the money back for the money that they're sending. But it's always in small increments to begin with, because that seems reasonable. If somebody thinks, well, I only have to spend $25 to get $250, and they see that they do, the chances that they will increase that initial give are more likely. So how can you stay safe? How can you, as an individual, if you're working with somebody in the community, keep your friends and family safe? Never give your financial information to someone who contacts you and claims to need it, meaning banks have put out information for months now that unless you're working with them directly on a loan product and talking to somebody that you have a relationship with, even in a financial institution, they are not going to send you an email or call you and claim that they need your financial information over the phone. One thing that we've really seen quite a few of are imposter scams because of this. I can guarantee you that the Social Security Administration and the IRS are never going to call you and call you directly and ask to get your personal information over the phone. That's not how it works. They're going to send you a letter and ask you to contact them. Then you are going to contact them and remain on hold. So it is very important for you to keep your information safe, to not share that information with anyone else. Never give them your bank account information over the phone as well. Never provide callers with your computer login information. No one is going to contact you from Microsoft or another company and say that you did not give them that information, that they need your login information to protect your computer. There are local reputable companies. Get somebody involved, ask somebody who maybe works with computers. They're not going to contact you directly and provide that. Never ever click on messages indicating that your computer is infected or call the number associated with the message. If there is an issue with your computer, either call the manufacturer directly. I think about my Nana, who calls the Geek Squad quite a bit, but do not worry about contacting anyone. Those messages are intended to be purposely harmful because they're threatening the safety of maybe you have financial information or passwords saved on your computer. Those are all not very great ideas. If somebody does get in there, they do have access to your financial records. A little bit about the government impersonators. So we know the IRS and Social Security Administration are never going to call us or send us emails. However, one thing that was happening is because everybody, was in the know about this, and after these scams started coming out, was that people were ignoring calls from contact tracers and legitimate government agencies that were trying to help to spread the virus. So you may receive one of those calls from a government official. Those are the ones that you should be answering. One thing also to consider as well is that, so if you've been the victim of a scam, one thing that we've kind of seen is that people are getting more savvy. Maybe they are more tech savvy. Maybe they're getting more people involved. However, there's been a huge shift to second waves of scams, which means that somebody may have already been the victim of a scam, and now the scammers are reaching out to them again and saying, hey, you already we know that you fell for this scam, but you may have been guilty of money laundering, or because of this, you may have to pay federal penalties or tax penalties, and we know that that is not true. Another thing to consider is that there are so many resources out there for people to complain about scams. I'm going to share some of those with you as well during this presentation, but people may receive a call and say, hey, you know what, this is the Attorney General's office. This is the CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. This is your local Better Business Bureau office. Hey, we received your complaint. We received your scam complaint. We reviewed it, and you may be entitled to some funds. Please just give me your bank account information so that we can transfer some of those losses back to you. And usually when that happens, there is no loss that, they just clear their bank account again. So anyone who, just because someone's been the victim of a scam and they've come to terms with it, they filed the complaints, they know that they may not be entitled to any recovery. Scammers know this now, and people may have, been, told that it was a scam. They've accepted it. They've told the people on the phone or who are emailing them, hey, I know I'm the victim of a scam. You can't trick me anymore. But then they're coming back and saying, well, we knew you filed this complaint. We found the scammers, and now you may be entitled to more funds. And now they're being asked to provide their bank account information. So one thing that we've seen is that scammers are getting really savvy. They're getting, as information is shared so quickly and so widely, more people are at home, more people are looking at screens. They're coming up with new ways to reach out to clients and get into their bank account. So the bottom line, and the best defense, and we always say to say no, it's the old adage, if something seems too good to be true, it usually is. But really say no if anyone contacts you asking for your Social Security number, bank account number, credit card information, Medicare ID number, or your driver's license number. If anyone contacts you for any other personally identifying information, by phone, in person, by text message, mail, or email, know who you're talking to. It is not common practice to ask for that information anymore. People are aware, financial institutions are aware, and the phone numbers for the IRS, Social Security Administration, your bank, your They're all widely publicized. Go to that website. If you receive an email that looks suspicious, you can go to the website of that business. I know that my bank isn't going to send an email asking for personal identifying information, but I can look up the name of my bank and contact them directly, even send them an email to their customer service and ask if anything was sent. Please be careful if somebody you don't know contacts you and requests you to send money through a payment app like Venmo or Zelle, or through prepaid gift cards. That's been, before it was, wiring money through maybe Western Union, or they had these cards called Green Dot cards. Now people are asking people in our community if for a donation or to pay by, Amazon gift card or a Target gift card or a Visa gift card. And they're giving all of that information over the phone. They're giving the information on the back, as well as any code, and that money is being transferred instantly, and there's no way to get those funds back once they're lost. Once those funds leave the gift card, they cannot be reloaded, they cannot be refunded. So where can you report scams in Western New York? You can obviously contact the Center for Elder Law and Justice, and we're able to kind of provide that information for you. We're happy to help, share that. The New York State Attorney General's office, has a consumer fraud hotline just for Western New York. That's a really great resource as well, if you're trying to, kind of check that. I used to say when this first happened, when I first started this kind of work, was that it didn't make sense to file complaints, but it does. People would always say, I don't want to just file a complaint. I'm not going to get my money back. I'm not out the money. I don't know why it makes a difference. However, this information, especially, our local offices, they do track that information. It does make a difference. It can identify if there's patterns, if there's a common, identifying factor. They try really hard, especially if it's a local ring of scammers, to identify those folks. So we can all be better about sending that information in. Sometimes we think that we may be bothering people, or that it may be other things are going on, it's too busy, but they really do track that information, and they try to make it so that we can have better resources to provide to folks in our community as well. There are several national scam reporting resources. There's a National Elder Fraud Hotline. The AARP has a toll-free scam line, and Treasurer Inspector General, Office of the Inspector General, to report Social Security scams, but also to report those IRS impersonation scams. Again, this information is checked, it's monitored. They do track, general information, where it happened, how they were contacted, but they're also making sure that they know what's going on too. They need to know how people are being reached and in what manners. A lot of times at least people I've talked to that have been the victims of scams, especially if they thought through the Social Security scam, they were keeping very detailed notes about the name of the caseworker that they supposedly work with. Also, what number they called, they saved those emails, and those are really helpful in determining, where the people are actually contacting our clients from, if they are within the United States. I don't know if anyone watching this has been on this, but the Better Business Bureau has a scam tracker, and it's scams that are reported by location with details. So a lot of times, one of the first things I do, if I get a call about a contractor scam, or somebody feels like maybe they've been, duped out of a charity, or, paid for services they never received, is I always look up the name of that business on the Better Business Bureau. And the reason why is because of this. It'll say what type of scam, especially for this, it'll tell you what type of scams are going on in your area. Is it a grandparent scam? Is it contractor scam? So that comes up, pretty soon when people start prepaying for plowing services. They'll give you the name of the business they use, when it was reported, how much was lost. It's interesting to know and kind of see how this has shifted, but also kind of gives you an update about what's going on in our community as well. Again, another place that's really great for resources is the FTC. So the Federal Trade Commission, as soon as the virus happened, kind of put this into action. They really want to track this information. How are people being solicited? Are people being solicited to, you know, to purchase test kits, to, you know, get emails claiming to be from the CDC? They're not going to email you directly, I promise. Again, contact tracers will call you, but they're not going to email you and ask for your personal identifying information and financial information. One thing that I like about this website, it does have a lot of advice for consumers. You can also file a complaint, but it kind of says what we all know, but sometimes it helps to read it, to have it, you know, to have it in black and white. Don't respond to any text, emails, or calls about checks from the government. Okay, they update their information constantly on what you need to know. Also, one thing that's on here is hang up on robocalls. Now, kind of tough. I know that we're all getting a lot of calls during this time of year, but they can pitch anything from health, low price health insurance right now, again, you know, to get rich at home schemes. I mean, that's another thing. It's when I said in the beginning that scams affect everyone, it's not just our seniors who are being, you know, people are targeting them because they have Social Security. And maybe people who are applying for jobs, who are putting, you know, out information out there that they're looking for jobs, that they are currently unemployed. So it's really important to know that all this information is being watched. You just have to be, you know, protect your information, especially during this time when there is any sort of financial uncertainty. You know, people feel maybe they're not sleeping as well. Maybe they're not paying as close attention to their finances because they're not going to lunch every day. They don't need to track how much they spend. Maybe they're more likely to say, well, I'll give to this charity or give to this person in need because at least I have a home and, you know, no one I know has been affected. We really kind of need to be vigilant and protect one another from this, especially as scammers get more savvy. We're going to continue to look for ways to get money from folks in our community. And especially if there's no, if it continues, I'm assuming that it'll get worse. So I do have some contact information here from our office. We do have 3 locations. I have information here for our Buffalo office, our Niagara County office, and our Chautauqua County office. You can always contact our main number directly. You can ask for me if you have any questions or want any follow-up. Again, my name is Melissa Woods. My direct extension is 206. But also I encourage you to go to our website, which is elderjusticeny, all one word, .org. We do have regular information and resources, and a lot of what we talk about today, we do try to update our blog rather continually, and we do have information about these types of scams and kind of where you can go for additional information, but also how you can contact our office. We're always available to help and answer any questions that you have. Financial exploitation, you know, it's something where, you know, it's people may be nervous. They might not want to step forward. They might not want to admit that they have lost money, that they've put themselves in a precarious financial situation, but we're here to help. We're here to advocate and provide resources and support for anybody who may require that during this time. Thank you everyone for watching today. Again, please feel free to contact our agency if you ever have any questions or concerns about our services.